Hello, and welcome to episode 83 of the Inventive Marketing Club. We're here every week to help you build a better marketing strategy. On this week's webinar, I'm going to give you a Mailchimp walkthrough, and the aim is to take you through from scratch. We're going to be adding an audience, a list of people. We're going to be creating a campaign and sending it and seeing seeing the stats. Hopefully, that'll all work for me. So let's dive in, and I'm just going to first of all just take you through Mailchimp. We're going to have a little look at their website. Okay, so this is Mailchimp or Mailchimp.com, and I've known Mailchimp for a number of years. It's not an email package I use a lot of. We use Campaign Monitor, however, a lot of our clients do, and it's generally because they start off with a free plan, so it enables you to easily dive in, test the water before you start paying them some money. They start off just doing email, but they do a lot of automated email now. They integrate with lots of different systems. They can and they've got a system where if you have an application, it can send email using the Mailchimp infrastructure. There's a lot more that it can do now, and it's really more of a CRM where you can actually have your customer database there, and it can be updated live from your website or various applications you use. And you can then have different emails triggered based on different things that happen to them on the website, whether they open emails or whether it's their birthday. And I'll try and dive into a little bit of that, although we don't have time to look at it fully. So with their pricing, this is their basic plan. In fact, let me go to the pricing page. So they do have a free plan. You can have up to 500 contacts in that, and you can send up to 1,000 emails. So that's if you're sending up to your maximum, it's going to be 2 email sends a month, which is pretty good for free. And that's why most people start with it. It is very limited in that you can only have one user. You can also only have one audience, and you don't get all the other things they offer. Like email scheduling. You can one of the options that's quite nice is you can send in the time zone of your recipients. If you've got a global audience, you can set a time to send in the UK, and it will represent that time throughout the world. So you can make sure you're hitting people in the morning wherever they are, or in the afternoon, or whatever time works for you, rather than just sending it 9 a.m. UK time and then wherever it is around the world. Other things that are useful on the other plans are A/B testing, where you can send 2 different emails to a small percentage of the audience. It can work out which is performing best based on criteria you give it, like clicking on a certain link, and then it will send the winner email. So whichever one has the highest percentage of clicks in a certain area, it's going to send that email. And that's really good if you've got a big list. I think that can work quite well in terms of trying to find which copy inspires people to buy or actually gets people to click on things. So that's quite fun. You've also got journeys, which you need to have the paid version for, where you actually set up a journey to allow people to there's so many different journeys, and I will take us through a few of them, but it's basically, let's say someone signs up to the list. You could then have a small delay, like a couple of hours or a day, and then you can send them a welcome email. And then you could say, well, if they don't do anything with that email, we want to send them a follow-up a couple of days later, maybe with some different content that might reach them in a different way. Or if they do click on it, you can then give them an offer or something like that. And you can have this sequence of emails with if-else statements and time delays and various triggers in there as well. What else is interesting on here? I think that's about it for now. I think what we should do is dive straight in and start creating a campaign. So I've already logged into Mailchimp. So it's saying hello, rather inventive. I think that's what I like about Mailchimp is they've got a very friendly brand. It looks really nice. I think their marketing website looks really nice. They've got friendly illustrations throughout when you need help, which I think is really nice for people new to this area. For someone who, like me, who is often in and out of email systems and you're just clicking about, it does tend to get in the way a little bit. It's a bit overly friendly and everything is a bit big. And I would prefer things to be a bit neater. You'd almost want a pro interface for Mailchimp. Maybe they have that, I don't know, I just don't use it enough. But having something where it just gets rid of the friendliness a little bit and we can use it as a function app instead. So let me see what we're going to do here first. Let's just broadly look through the system, see what we've got here. So this is the main dashboard. If you click on the monkey, you get to the main dashboard and it just gives you an overview of what's been going on. Now, I've had this account for some time, but I've cleared everything out just so we can start from scratch. So it's not really going to show anything useful here for us. But on the left-hand side, we've got a big create button, which allows us to dive into creating templates, email campaigns. You can even do things like postcards. I'll show you that in a minute when we go through creating. And then we've got campaigns. So if we had some running campaigns, we can see what they are. We can go and create more templates. We can look at our audience. So the audience are essentially an email list, and you can have multiple lists if you've got one of the paid plans. Automations. So this is where you can set up journeys, the if-else triggers, or if someone signs up to a service, or you get an external website maybe pushing in a contact, then you can trigger off an automation to that way to send emails. And then Mailchimp also has other features, like you can actually build website pages within it as well. So I'm not going to explore this in this webinar, but you can actually start doing some social campaigns. You can do social advertising in it. You can build websites. So they're really covering a lot more ground. They're almost in HubSpot territory, really, and moving into that way, that area of becoming a whole marketing system. Let's close these up. We're just going to start in campaigns. And first of all, we're going to go through to create, just so I can show you this. We've got lots of different things so you can create here and start off. We can also look at the ads, a social post, even a little postcard. So it's starting to integrate in the offline world as well, which I quite like, but I'm not going to go into any of that. I think we may explore that in other webinars. So what we're going to do is click on email, and we want to create a template. Now, the reason I want to do a template is for our scenario, we are recreating the club newsletter that gets sent out regularly. And because of that, you don't want to have to be creating a new newsletter each time. We want to start from a template, and then when we create a campaign, we can just pick that template. It's going to be set up exactly how we want. So I'm using here the new design template creator. It's in beta, but I thought I'd show this just for longevity of this video, really, because it's something that will become normal. They do have, if you've been using Mailchimp for some time, you might see a different editor available, and they have different templates. So if you're using the old editor, you'll see a bigger variety of templates available. They will start building those up over time, I'm sure, in this new one. So it might look slightly different to the Mailchimp you're using, but I thought I'd use the new beta one. So I'm going to use minimal because I like simple emails, or at least to start off simply, and then I can build out from there. So I'm just going to click select on here. Let's call this club newsletter as my template, so I always know what to go back to. So it's fairly self-explanatory. It's pretty much WYSIWYG. And actually, for those of you who use Campaign Monitor, like I do, this interface is very similar now to Campaign Monitor, which I quite like. Campaign Monitor has always had a slightly better template editor, I think, than, or in my opinion, than Mailchimp. But with this new one, Mailchimp has really stepped it up and made it feel more similar to the Campaign Monitor one. So let's start adding some elements in here. First of all, let's change the logo. We don't have a hexagon as ours. So I click on this, and then I can click Set Logo on the left. And I'm just going to take it straight from my, I've got a little folder here, all pre-prepared. I've got our logo, which I'm going to pop in there and upload. That's brilliant, but it's far too big. So what I can do is just drag this little handle here and make that a bit smaller. You know, while I think our brand is great, we just want it on there so people know who they're getting the email from, and then I don't want it to get in the way. So moving down to the main body of the email, we need to add some content in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a headline and paragraph here, Well, what I want to do in our newsletter is I want to have the title of the webinar that's just come out and a short paragraph for it. So I'm going to go to this one here. Now, Claire puts these all online and it's all ready for me to copy and paste, which is very handy for me. So I can just copy this title and pop that in there. And then I'm going to copy the little description underneath, which we keep short intentionally. And I'm going to paste this in here. Great. Now, I know this is a template, so these will change every campaign, but I always find it quite useful to put in a good example of the type of content you want in there. If nothing else, it's going to help remind you what should go in there, but also we can make sure it fits in there. If you've got some long titles, it might be better to put a longer title in there to see what it looks like if it wraps around onto 2 lines. So we've put that text in there. What else do we want to do? Oh, yes. So with these, once you're a member, you can actually just play the video on here directly. So why not just add the video straight in? So this is a YouTube video. So I can click on here. I don't know if members know this, but all the videos we have online, they're stored on YouTube, but they're private. And so actually what you can do is view them directly in YouTube if you have the URL for it. So I'm going to copy this. Go back to the template builder. And what I can do is if I just click done on the text, I'm going to find the video option here. And I'm just going to click it on and it adds it into the section here. And then on the left-hand side, I've got source. That's the source of the video. So I'll paste that in. And then what it does is pulls a thumbnail from the YouTube video and adds a little play icon over the top. And it just dims the video a little bit. And what I can do is just drag that up to where I want it. I do that using a little drag handle. I can even duplicate it using this. If I want, if I've set something up and I want multiple of those similar blocks, I can just duplicate the block or delete it. So that's the video there. But actually, I don't want to take people directly to the YouTube video. I want them to go to our blog post. So I don't really want to use a video there. I want to have an image and then make that image clickable to take us through to the blog post. So what I would do is just add a photo directly to this image. So if I go browse images, actually, I don't want those. I will upload a new one. And I've already got the thumbnail. So when Claire's producing our episodes, she will create different types of thumbnails, one a small square one for the podcast or the website thumbnail. And we've also got this larger 16:9 version, which we use for the video. So if I just upload that, and we can use that in different ways. So we add that on here. And what we can do is just link it straight to this blog post. So if I copy that URL, paste it in there, and then we've added it in. That's great. And in fact, what I might do is just describe that image in alt text, which is potentially useful for people who can't see the email for some reason. Maybe they've got low or no vision, or maybe the emails, the images are disabled. So alt text, email marketing essentials. We'll leave it like that for now, but you'd really want to describe what's in the image. We could put video, a thumbnail in there. That's good. And then we'll delete the video. Brilliant. Actually, what I want to do is let's move this above. There we go. That's better, because I want the first bit of content people see to be the video. That's what people want. And then the text underneath is just to give it context, because as you can see in our thumbnails, we have the text in of what is in there. Plus, usually it depends on the image. We'll have some people in there. We'll have an excerpt from the video. So it just gives a little example about what's going on. So I think that should go at the top. Right, next, let's add a button. Well, we've got a button in the template already, so we'll reuse that one. So if I click on that button to select it, we can then start adding some details. So I want to link that button to our website. So let's go to the website, go back to the template and paste. Now I know, again, this is just a template, but we want to put in real information. So if I were to hand this to someone who didn't know what they were doing, or me, if I'm particularly tired and I need to get this email out, I've got reminder information in here for me, and it's going to make my job a lot easier. So that's the link, but I don't like that button. It's a bit bland. It's just black. Let's make it the same color as our logo. So I'm just going to enter the hex code for that. We do that here. Button, select that hex code and pop it in there. That's better, but we've got a black outline, so I need to change that. Change the border. That's better. And I'll have some white text. There we go. Stands out a bit more. And then we want to give some kind of call to action. I'm going to make this very simple. Watch club webinar. So when they click on that, that's what they're going to get. And one of the things that's worth doing, especially if you've got a repeating newsletter that you're taking from a template, is to try and minimize mistakes. So I could put in there, watch episode 81 or watch IMC81, but it means I'm going to have to change that each time. It's just another thing for me to have to change. So if you can find generic text that still works for you on a repeating email like this, then I would try and do that. Well, I like that, but it's okay. It's on brand, but I think we could improve that a little bit. Let's make it a little bit more rounded, or perhaps a pill shape, which is like the default style we've got on a lot of our themes on our website. So if we do that, it's going to more closely match what we have on our website. Right, moving on down. I don't think there's anything else I want to delete. I think that's good. I mean, obviously, I can use all of the features on the right-hand side to populate it with more content. I can add more buttons in. I can add more paragraphs of text or headings. I can add spaces in. And in fact, it might be good just to put a little spacer in perhaps here. It's just to give it a bit of space. And then maybe I want to space it just between the logo and the image, just to draw it apart a little bit so people are focused more on the content. What else can we add in here? There's some other block. I haven't actually explored the survey one, so I'm not going to try that. If you are, I'm not going to look into this again, but if you have integrated your Mailchimp with your shop, WooCommerce, I think it integrates with Shopify as well, then you can actually use this button to bring in products, which are either products from your website, or they could be filtered based on what people have bought recently, or what would be a related category to what they're buying. So if you're using a lot of these journey emails that are triggered automatically, that's when you can start bringing in the product here. Let's just flick through the other options. Different general styles for the text. I'm going to leave this all as default, but you feel free to change it. You know, if you've got lots of buttons, you might want to set the default colors here rather than each button individually. And optimize. I don't think I really need that on this one. So I think I'm good to go. Let me just check my notes, make sure I've got everything. Oh yes, what I want to do is actually just change the logo to be our club logo. So if I click on this, I can go replace logo. And I can obviously upload more images from here, but I can go to my files, and you can see I've already uploaded a few bits of content, and one of them is the club logo. So this is quite useful, having a file section. It's one thing that Campaign Monitor doesn't have, but all the files that you upload, you can gain access to them here. So if you've got images that you're going back to use often, it's quite nice to go and pick them from here rather than having to go and find them on your computer. So let's select that and insert it. Again, it's a bit too big, so I'm going to make that smaller. Yeah, that works. Great. Click down the bottom here. Right, so we've got some social icons. So we don't use Facebook. We do have a Facebook profile, but we don't use it, so I'm not going to promote it. We don't have Instagram. And while we actually do have a Twitter profile, I don't know what's happening with Twitter at the moment and the downfall of Twitter, but we certainly haven't used it for 3 years. So I'm going to just replace all of those with a LinkedIn one. So if I select LinkedIn here, and I can just put our company profile link in, which I've got handily ready to copy and paste. Pop that in there, and then I'm going to delete the others. In fact, I think what I might do is see if we can add our website in as well. I've got a little shortcode, which normally works, but autocorrect is changing it to, it thinks it's the wrong word. So I'll just put it in here, https rather inventive.com. Okay, great. So we've got our LinkedIn profile and we've got a link to our website. That's great. There's another brand logo at the bottom. I don't want that there. I think one logo at the top is enough for us. But if you've got a long newsletter, you might want that branding again. I'm just going to delete that. The rest of the information is some sort of default copyright information. It's going to add in additional information about the list, where you got their details from, your address, and so on. So I'd leave all that as is. And you do have to have an unsubscribe link as well. So I tend to just leave all the section at the bottom, and looking at many of the emails I receive, most people do as well. So that's good. I think we're ready to preview it and see how this is going to look. So I can click on preview here. And it gets rid of all the other clutter, and we can just see how that email might look. Oh, there's one thing I didn't do. Let me exit preview mode, and I'll come back to that in a second, is just add some links onto the other elements. Oh, no, I did link them on. See, I was far too far ahead of myself. Let's go back to preview. So that's the desktop version. That's what it looks like in desktop email. And then you can see what it looks like, or might look like in an email system as well. Sorry, a mobile system. Let's exit preview. Let's save template and exit. We're done there. So what I'm going to do is let's move on and add our audience, add a list of people that we want to send our emails to. So if I go over to audience, I haven't got one on here. As I said, I've cleaned out this account so we can start from fresh. And let's go create audience. So our audience name, I want it to be members because that's who we're sending to. The default from address, well, I've set up a special email to send from, because I think it can, certainly with the email program I use, a lot of people like to filter their emails. So I wanted a dedicated email that would allow people to filter out. Certainly if they didn't want it anymore, it's easy for them to filter that out without them filtering emails out from me, which might be a little bit more important if we're working on a project together. And then I'm going to put the title as just Marketing Club so people can see it when it comes through. Campaign URL settings. So if you pay for a campaign, you can actually customize this, but I don't think it really matters so much unless you're a bigger company and you care about having a nice vanity URL for your links. But one of the nice things it can do is actually generate links for every single campaign you send, which you can send out individually, or you can put on social media and allow people to click on those and see the campaign in a regular web page, which works quite nicely. I think this next section reminds people how they signed up to your audience is quite important. So I'm just going to put here that you're a member of Inventive Marketing Club. But if you've got a list which people are added to via a website where they fill out a form, you might want to put it in here. Or if they're a customer, you might want to put that in here. So I think the more specific you can be, the better, the more likely the less likely they are to unsubscribe, because they'll actually read, oh, right, okay, I see why I'm getting that information. It's actually got our old address on there. I'm going to leave that. I thought I'd updated it in there and it's obviously reverted back. That's fine. We're not there anymore. So I'll just leave that as the default information. But if you wanted to change that, you can click on edit, actually go in and change those details. I'll just briefly show you that. A couple of form settings. So this is details. These are settings for if you are using embedded forms on your website. First one is double opt-in. What that means is when an email is added into your list, Mailchimp will send an email once to that email, confirm it, well, basically in the email, asking if they want to actually be subscribed to that list. And what that can help prevent is a lot of spam sign-ups. It can prevent people accidentally signing up and then not really wanting the email. So this is quite nice. You can have double opt-in. It makes people, they get an email in their email inbox, click on that, and then they're opted in. And it just proves that they actually do want that. So I'm going to enable that. I'm also going to enable GDPR fields. So this is some additional checkboxes to make sure that people do want this particular content. Certainly for the UK, you're going to need to add that in so that they do it is confirming that they do want to receive an email and who the email is going to be from, that the email is going to be stored in Mailchimp and so on. Then we've got some other options here. Do we want any notifications? I don't tend to want notifications of this sort of thing. It gets irritating, but some people do. It's quite exciting to see people subscribing to your newsletter, but most of the time I wouldn't want this. So I would leave all those unticked. So we're going to save, and we've got our audience, but it's got nothing in it. So what we need to do is actually add new contacts to this. So what I want to do is, I'll just take you through a few options actually. We can either import them, which is what I'm going to do, or we can create a sign up form. So with a sign up form, you can basically create forms that you can then copy and paste onto your website. And you can do that in different ways. Sometimes they have inline frames, which are a bit like YouTube videos. So you copy and paste a bit of text and it places a little frame for Mailchimp, the Mailchimp form on there, or it can provide you with the HTML you need, and you can copy and paste that straight onto your website and style it however you want. So these would be the embedded forms. Very simple one there. Or you can actually go through the form builder, go through a sort of bigger process of actually designing it however you want it to look. This is the GDPR section that it adds in. You can also integrate with different other systems. So you might have a form system on your site like Ninja Forms or Gravity Forms, and then you can use that to integrate with Mailchimp, and it will push it in directly to Mailchimp. That's sometimes we do that for people. If we're using Ninja Forms on our site, we're used to that. We can control what they look like. It's all styled up, but Ninja Forms doesn't send an email directly. It will just push it straight into Mailchimp for you. So there's a couple of different integrations here that you can connect to. Like if you're working with Squarespace, you can connect directly to that. Some of the other integrations work the other way around. So for example, Ninja Forms, which we use, you have an integration on that side, which then pushes that data in via Mailchimp's API. I'm not going to dive into that too much. What I'm going to look at is just adding importing contacts from a list, which actually is the way a lot of people do it. You know, they'll have some other CRM or another system, and they'll just want to download a list and re-upload it for some campaign they're doing. So I'm going to upload a file. Oh, it's worth showing you this copy and paste. So you can, if you have a spreadsheet, just copy and paste directly into the spreadsheet. That's quite a fun way to do it, and it will just work out all of the columns. But I actually want to import from a list, a file. So I've got this file already on my computer. So I want everyone on that list to be subscribed. Yes. If I had contacts in that already and I'm downloading a list on a regular basis from a CRM, I might also want to tick the box, update any existing contacts. What that will do is if they have different, maybe you've got different columns in there, maybe you've got a different company name, different first name, last name, phone number, and other variables you add into it. If you click update existing contacts, it's going to match on the email address and then update the additional information. I'll leave that unchecked for the moment. Other options in status are these, but subscribed is what I want. Continue to tag. You can add other tags from them depending on where you get this list from. So it could be that this list is just from my CRM. So I can put that in there and then continue to match. So this is where we are looking at the different columns that you've got in the spreadsheet. So I've obviously got us here. I've got Bob, Ben, and Claire. I think Jack is another one in there, but she's hidden. So we've got those in there. We've got columns for first name, last name, which is matched up for me already. I put in F name, L name. I think there's some common abbreviations which it uses. If not, you can actually match it. It'll come up with this red box here, and it will need you to match up your column in your spreadsheet with your column in Mailchimp. So with this one, I need to create a new box for this. So I'm going to create a field called text field. I'm going to call it status. And that's just going to hold the status of their membership. In fact, yeah, if it hasn't imported Jackie, she might not be lapsed, but everyone's active there. Let's finalize import. Great. 4 contacts imported into this list. Great. Let's have a look at them. There we are. There's everyone. We can see Jackie's cakes. That was the one you couldn't see on the list. Her status is lapsed. So if we wanted to, we could actually set up a segment where we are only sending to active members, but then we could have an email every now and then to lapsed members, coaxing them to resubscribe. And so you can do that in segments. I'm not going to do that. We don't have time to go into segments right now, but you can start going into a particular you can create a segment, which is basically where you set up a filter, and it's a dynamic filter. So I could say, set up a segment which is looking at the status lapsed and call that segment lapsed, or set one up for looking at the status active and call that active. And then when I send the email, I can choose to send to either or both of those statuses, depending on what I'm sending to them. Great, but I'm going to leave it and keep it quite simple for the moment. So we've done our list. I think we are finished there. So that's great. Let's go and make a campaign for our last club webinar, which we had, which was an open club. So we want to send that out. So we go to all campaigns, and as we haven't sent a campaign yet, we can click on the create campaign. Now I'm just going to send a regular email here. And we want to send it to all subscribed contacts, audience members. You could pick that if you've got more audience. Obviously, you've got to have a paid account, but if you do, you can start sending to different audiences, or you can segment them. It's picking up this from the list, so we want it to send it from these details, but we do want to change the subject. So in here, I'm going to add the subject, and we're going to put this. Club webinar. So I want to always start with that, then people know what they're looking for. IMC83, so Inventive Marketing Club 82, and then what it is. You can also add some preview text here. This preview text, for most email programs, it will show you the first few lines of text. If you put preview text here, that will often show in the inbox. So if you want to get to the heart of what your email is, it's a good idea to put it in there. But I'm not going to do anything on this one. Let's just save that and then design the email. So from here, I want to pick a template. So I go on the left-hand side, click on templates, saved. And I should have our template here. So if I click apply, I'll start the clean template. Oh, did I accidentally select something there? Seem to have selected a load of text. Let's see if I can get rid of that. There we go. So what it's done, instead of creating an email from scratch, we can just use our template, which is set out exactly how we want. Although for some reason, it has put the logo large here. What I'll do is I'll just quickly change and replace the logo with what we want. My files, Inventive Marketing Club, insert. We'll shrink that down a bit. There we go. Everything else is as it was. That's weird. That's very strange. Okay, so let's now update the content with the particular campaign we're trying to send. First, let's do the image. So I'm going to browse images. I've already got the file uploaded. So it is this one here. And I'm going to go to our page with the blog post and copy and paste the text I need. I like copying and pasting because I know it's going to be exactly right. I sometimes don't trust myself to overtype things. So it's worth for me actually copying and pasting, then I know it's exactly right. Let's paste that up. I'll get rid of that one. And paste that bit of text in here. Brilliant. Now, because this is a little bit long, I'm going to just shorten it, and I'm just going to make it Open Club website review, just so it fits in. If I can make things not go onto 2 lines, I'd prefer that, unless it's filling the space all the way. But that looks good. So let's now update the links. So I'll copy the URL at the top here. I want to paste it onto this first, onto the video. So if people click on the video, they're going to be taken to it. And on our button here. Brilliant. But I don't need to update anything else. That's ready to go. So it's just saving it at the moment. I'll just see if we can, yeah, so it saved it, good. So what we'll do is we'll quickly preview that. And it's got the 2 options that we had in template. We also have inbox preview. Now, I don't know if you've watched the previous one of our webinars. I can't remember the number of it, but it's basically looking at email essentials and talking through how you can use email in different ways. One of the applications I mentioned is Litmus, and it's integrated into Campaign Monitor, and I wasn't sure, but it's now integrated into Mailchimp. And what this does is allows you to get an idea of how the deliverability of your email. So it'll actually send a copy of that, a test copy of that email into this service, and it will then run it through spam filters. It will run it through different email programs, so you can actually preview what each one of them look like. But you do need an upgraded account in order to get that. I'm happy with this. You know, I can test send it to me, maybe send it to Claire, maybe to someone else I know, and we'll just have a look and make sure that's fine. Once you've got the format though and the template, you can pretty much confidently send that out regularly. But I'm happy with that. Let's exit this. What else do I need to do? I think that's fine for the moment. So let's save and exit. So let's just check everything here. It's looking good. We're sending out to our members list. It's from Marketing Club. This is the title. The content's all good to go. If you want to connect Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, you can actually get it to automatically push this out to those profiles as well. So it might be quite good on Facebook if you connect it to that, they can automatically push the campaign out as a post. But I'm just going to briefly look down the bottom here to tracking. So this is where you can turn on some more additional tracking if you want. If you want to reduce the amount of tracking that you have on your audience, you can actually turn these tick boxes off. So you are not aware of who is opening and clicking on it. I'm just going to leave it active for the moment so we can see it. You can even track. So by default, this email sends out as a HTML email, so it looks pretty, but it also converts all of the text into a text email and tries to format it as best it can. But the problem with text emails, plain text emails, is they can't track the link in there. So by clicking this option, it actually adds some tracking code in there first. So when people click on a link, it bounces via a Mailchimp page first. I don't tend to like that. I'll turn that off. Most people don't have plain text emails only. Now, interestingly, we do have Google Analytics on our site, but I think given the way our site is set up and I'm trying to reduce cookie tracking on it, it actually doesn't recognize that it has Google Analytics on there. But if you have this option ticked, then what it does is just add some additional UTM codes to the URL of each of the links, which enables you to see the campaign data of your email in Google Analytics. But that's looking good. I'm just going to save that. Leave it as default. And I think we're ready to go. You've got a couple of different options here. You can schedule the sending. So you can actually schedule it for a particular date and time. You've got the delivery time that I was talking about earlier. If you have an upgraded account, then you can actually send when it thinks it's going to get most engagement for you. Or you can send it in batches if you don't want them to. You know, if you've got you're sending out to 100,000 people and you don't want your website to go down, you can send it out in short batches. We're not going to schedule a campaign. I'm just going to send it directly. Yeah, all looks good. Let's send it. And it's adding it into the queue. So what I'm hoping we can do now is I'm not going to get any email report data straight away. So I'm going to just quickly go and look at a few other things. Hopefully by that time, the email's being delivered. Claire, if you would click on the email if it comes through, I'll click on mine and we'll see if we can find some data there. Right, so what options have we got here? I'll leave stats for a moment. I'll just quickly touch on journeys. So I want to find that in automations. And I'm just going to quickly look through a few of these. Now, journeys, as I briefly explained before, are ways of communicating with customers depending on certain situations. Now, one of the ones I wanted to look at, let's look at all journeys. Pre-built journeys, sorry. The first one I wanted to look is Eventbrite follow-up here. So for any of those of you who run events and use Eventbrite to run it, and Eventbrite is a really great system, especially good for free events, but great for paid events as well. You might want to follow up people who've actually attended the event. You know, you've used the Eventbrite app, you've checked them in, you know they've attended, you want an auto follow-up because it can be a bit of a pain. You've just run an event, especially if it's someone like me, that takes a lot of energy out of you. Last thing you want to do is think about following them up. So if I click on this, you can actually use this journey to do that for you. So once you've connected up Eventbrite, obviously you have to integrate with Eventbrite and connect the two together. But once you've done that, once a customer checks into an event that you specify, you can then automatically follow them up after a delay. Could be instantly if you wanted to, but you probably want to delay it at least by a day, and then send an email or multiple emails. And then you can start diving into having if-else statements at that point. So you could just thank them for following up, maybe have a link for the service that you might have been pitching during your workshop, or maybe you're just sending handout notes. So that's quite good. The other one I wanted to look at was send emails over time, which I think is here. So let's say you wanted to have some kind of drip campaign where someone signs up on your email, on your website, and they want to get like three key things that you should do to improve your search optimization, for example. So they sign up to their email, and then over the next few days or few weeks, they're going to get an email with some additional content on them for you, for them. So if I click on this, we'll get a basic idea of how that might work. And what this is doing is actually doing an A/B test as well at the same time, splitting it between different emails to see which is most effective. So a contact is added manually in this case, so it's uploaded to a list. And then, but it could be a list that comes straight from your website. And then it has a split where it could go 50-50 or 70-30 against these two different email newsletters that you're sending, because you want to find out which stream is most effective. And maybe the delays, or maybe the order of the emails. It may be the content is different, but you're just having a different order. So you send email one, have a delay, and then you can send additional emails over a period of time. And that might be quite nice. It might be a really good way to nurture people and sort of keep people in the loop until they're ready to buy. Obviously, you want to be offering useful information. You don't just want to be sending out crap. You've got to make sure it really is something that they're going to find useful. And as I keep saying about any content you create, remarkable. Thank you, Seth, for that idea. Seth Godin, that is. So they're the two I want to show you, but there are loads of other different journeys in there, depending on what you want to do, where the emails are coming from. This one's quite interesting. Send SMS messages with offers. So you can actually get someone signing up on a particular audience here to a particular audience, and they can connect via, you can then connect up Twilio, which is then used to send SMS messages out to your customers using the details that Mailchimp has here. Right, I've received the email, so I'm just going to look at it my side, click on it, and actually we'll see it pop up in here. That's great. So close that down. And what we'll do, just before I go to have a look at the stats, I just want to show you one final thing here. Under content, they've got a creative assistant. Now, I've already been through this process, but if you hadn't already, it asks you to give it your website. And then once you've got the website, it will basically scurry away in the background and create some designs for you that you could use in your content marketing. This is what it's come up for me. I actually don't like any of them, but for you, depending on your brand, depending on how it works, you might like. You can obviously customize it. You can go in and create different designs or select different templates. You can give it different intents, which I've done everything here. But I didn't like any of them, but some may work out for you, and it might be just a good, quick way to get started. If you're not sure, we've got a fairly established brand. We kind of know what works for us and what we like and what we don't like. We're always experimenting and changing, and I'm quite fussy, which is probably why I don't like these. But for you, if you just want to get going quickly, it can be a good place to start. Okay, let's go back to our campaign and see if we've got any data in there. So here's our campaign. I click on it. So we're actually previewing it. I meant to view the report, but we can actually preview what it was if we wanted to go back in time, find out the details from it. But I'm interested in the stats. So I'm click view report in the top there. I can see that 2 people have opened it and 2 people have clicked on it. So I assume that's Claire and I. 1 bounced. I think both will bounce actually, because both of the other people in there do not exist. Now there's lots of, just before I go into this, there's lots of tabs at the top, but this overview pretty much shows you a little summary of each of those tabs. So I'm just going to stick on this one. So we see we've had 3 successful deliveries. One of them, I know it doesn't go anywhere, so I don't know how it's delivering it. 2 opens, so that's Claire and I. And if we had any e-commerce connections, then we could see if any orders came off the back of that as well. This content optimizer is just, you may have seen it through while I was building the actual campaign, but it gives you an idea about if it's short enough, interesting enough. It's obviously saying it's pretty good, apart from the skimmability, although I'd say the skimmability is pretty good. It's not a big email. But this might be quite good if you're new to email marketing. It's going to give you a little bit of advice. Then we go down and we can see which links were clicked. So everyone clicked on to actually go to our page, which is great. We've also got links on there to LinkedIn and rather Inventive. I can't remember what this one is, but it basically shows all of the links on that are available on there, how many people click on them. You can get more detail in those tabs above. But really, that's all. I don't really care who clicked on the links. I just want to know, did people click on the links? That's all I care about, really. If you left this over a period of time and you're sending to a big enough audience, you can see how people click on it over a period of time, which is quite interesting. It might give you some data about when people are engaging with this email. And obviously, if you've connected social media, it's going to say how many people are clicking on that. But we can actually see some of the subscribers as well who clicked on things. But that's it. I think that's all I want to show you. It's just a very quick overview. So if you're new to, I was going to say Campaign Monitor, if you're new to Mailchimp, you can get started pretty quickly, set up a template, add an audience list in and send a campaign, and you can just rinse and repeat and do that on a regular basis. And if you're using the free plan, then you're nothing to pay on each campaign, as long as you keep your list under 500. So Claire, hopefully that's given us a nice insight into Mailchimp. Perhaps you can let us know what's happening next week.
Yes. Okay. So next week, I'm looking forward to this one, Ben. We have a roundtable chat about AI chatbots impact on marketing. So we're going to look at Chat AI and the Bing chatbot with.
Yes.
And we've got 2 guests joining us. So we've got Dave Hargis from Selmac and Jack McCourtry from Courtry. So it should be quite a debate.
It will, and we've touched on this a little bit when we looked at we had a Q&A where AI came into it, and there was another application where it was generating content on the fly. But the reason we want to talk about this now is ChatGPT has been in the news a lot. A lot of people who aren't into AI and computing at all are sort of talking about it, particularly reporters, because of how good it is at generating content. And another chatbot, you mentioned it, Claire, the Bing search engine chatbot, that's come into the news because of some of the personality that comes out of it, and it feels like people have been talking to a real person. Something's about to change. We're on either as someone else described it, either we've reached now peak AI for the moment, or we're just at the bottom and we're going to see a sharp acceleration in all of this. So I thought it would be nice that we bring on 2 people relevant. One, Dave from Selmac, who's actually been using AI in some of his campaigns, and Jack, who is a copywriter. And so this is something that is going to impact his industry potentially massively. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. We don't know how it's going to go. It's going to be a bit of a chat. Maybe we'll test out some of these chatbots if they don't fail us, but it should be fun. Thank you everyone for watching. We're here every Friday from 10 a.m. We cover everything in marketing, social, SEO, video, strategy, and more. If you've got something exciting to share that you're doing in your business and you want to come on, email support@ratherinventive.com. And don't forget, you can catch all of our previous webinars at ratherinventive.com/membership. Thank you very much for watching and see you all next week. Bye.